Is it possible to tame all 118 creatures on my favorite map, Ragnarok? In this video, that's what we're here to find out. From these tiny beach-dwelling birds to these towering carnivores, can we tame them all in only 24 hours? Well, to answer that question, we've got to go back to the beginning. And in the beginning, we woke up on a gorgeous Ragnarok, if I do say so myself. And what else, but we get immediately attacked by a ton of pegos. Okay, there we go. Timer started, we're good to go. Whoa. What is that? This, I'm guessing? Whoa. Huh. Okay, we don't have time for that right now. Holy crap, this map looks good though. Wow. That is a lot of seagulls that we don't want to deal with. Normally I'd be pretty upset, but in this instance I decided to tame one, and I ended up with 3, but that's a good start to the challenge if I do say so myself. They did that. I go, actually, you know what? If I can be quick enough. Perfect, there's one. What was that noise? The fuck? Alright. You know what? Go for it. Yeah, I guess we're just taming pegos for the first. Oh, that thing looks so cool. Next, I decided that I should probably put some clothes on, so I made some cloth armor. And the only reasonable next step would be to knock out a dodo and tame it. Get this shit up on me. Punch them once. And then we don't have to worry about how or why, but I almost got killed by a bunch of dodos myself. Yo. Am I gonna die to a dodo? Oh my god, I'm gonna die to a dodo. So after that beating I took by dodos, I decided it was probably time to make a spear, and then I killed the dodo and took its child. Why, you might ask? Purely out of spite. Then I noticed one of my pegos died, and I wasn't sure, but I was kind of confident that this oviraptor had something to do with it. Turns out I was 100% right because it decided to attack everything that I owned. It did! Leave my damn things alone. Holy, I'm taking your children for that. Okay, it's fine. These won't count towards the team count. I just wanted to steal them because it's randomly attacking my stuff. So after I dealt with the oviraptor, I placed a foundation and a mortar and pestle so I could get started on my Breaking Bad routine. Super fast. What level are you? Oh, 130? Hell yeah, I freaking knocked that out. Oh my god, I did knock it out. I think I was gonna get that far. Think of a kid with... That's kind of terrible. Not overly worth it. The parasaur. Let's get him saddled. Start getting some more berries here. Okay. Okay. Whoa. Okay, that's not happening. He kiting, and I only know one way to get it. I don't have anything to kill that turtle with. Maybe we'll see what level it is. Maybe we can kill it. Holy crap. Oh, just the max level. Damn it. Is that him? Oh, come on. Yeah, I'm dead. Where did the second one come from? You are... Okay, hear me out. Okay, you know what? Dude, this is ridiculous. There's four of them. What? I do care about that. Wow. That looks really good. Whoa, that's gotta be new, right? My next course of business was to make this trike chase me around a rock until I was able to knock it out, after I might have been killed by it a couple times. Then, because that strategy worked so well, I decided to use the same strategy on a Bronto, along with the high ground.
I have the high ground! You underestimate my power!
And then, surprisingly, on my way back, I found this reasonably leveled Giga way too close to me. Then, in a sudden stroke of genius, I remembered dead Bazzies on the beach give me oil and a bunch of spoiled meat. Feeling pretty good, I went to get a drop and didn't realize I was dying until I jumped off to get it. I did say stroke of genius, right? But in honestly an insane stroke of luck, the drop had good enough fur armor to keep me from freezing. While flying around looking to set up a base, I got bored and hid in this bush for some reason. There's nothing special about this, I just wanted to show you that I was already losing it. Now, I'll be honest, I played a lot of Ragnarok on Survival Evolved, so I knew exactly where I wanted to build my base, and it's right here by the green obelisk. This place is directly in the middle of the map, so it's pretty well perfect for this challenge. And here in my notes I wrote canteen, so here you go. With my new base spot picked, I took everything from my old base and moved it all the way to the new spot, but I got sidetracked and went to get some polymer the old-fashioned way. And now, before you mention it, yes, I know there's loot drops in here. I'm just not a high enough level to get them, so there's no point to stop for them. And in this clip, I nearly died to hunger, which would have been pretty embarrassing. On my way back, I spent a lot of time looking for an Anki, which I found, but it was fighting everything. Like, I mean everything. So, for some reason, the only logical thing I could think of was to throw my trike out to deal with it. Luckily, everything actually worked out, and I claimed the baby. Little side note while editing this, I didn't realize I claimed this. I had it down as tamed in the old notes, so hopefully I tamed another one at some point here. Anyway, after that I headed to my base spot to finally set up a base for this run through. Right by my base, farther down the valley, there was a Doedicurus, so of course I forced him to hang out with me. Oh, never mind. Yeah, so I crashed a bunch throughout this series. This one set me back pretty far, but it doesn't matter, we're right back at it as soon as I log back in. On the way, I checked this drop, and luckily for me, there's bear traps in this drop because I'm going to use a ton of them. Then I decided to test out the template hammer, but don't worry, I'm not going to use it for long because I frankly couldn't figure out how to use it and make it work properly. Just as I began to feel pretty comfortable here, a pair of bison came by with a friendly reminder that they could do this to me literally whenever they wanted. It was at this point I also learned how far they could throw me, and it was pretty much effortless for them. And with that, I had to try and run all the way back because I had a 5-minute timer on my bed because I am a genius. After admiring the sunset, I went back to work on the base for some reason, even though it doesn't help me with this challenge at all. But I know you guys like a half decent looking base, so you're on the wrong video for that. I wish I had more footage for you, but I pretty much wasted a ton of time messing with the template hammer, besides fighting off this saber. Otherwise, it's all spent with the template hammer. As you can see, I was being very efficient. After way too long, I finally got back to taming and trapped this RG, which makes this tame super easy. With that RG knocked out, I decided it'd be a good idea to get a maid pair, so, well, I could get them both killed and not worry about it, so I could have disposable RGs. But on my way back, I found this saber, so I just simply bulleted it and knocked it out pretty much effortlessly. But in order to tame things quicker, I need a crossbow or a long neck, so I went to my favorite loot spot in the game. Yes, we're right back here, but this time I really didn't get anything worth anything. Now at this point I kept crashing and lost every loot drop I just grabbed, so I went back and tried again, and this might be the first time I'm not that mad because I got a crazy crossbow blueprint that I'm going to use for a lot of this challenge, spoiler alert. Once I got back, I threw out my RGs so they can start mating, and I can get an imprinted RG that shouldn't matter if it survives or not. I promise I may try my hardest. With the polymer I gathered earlier, I also made some gilly because it makes a few tames way easier, and by a few I mean a lot of them. The first baby RG didn't get the cool colors, but it was good enough for me to use for now. Eventually we'll replace it. At this point I gave up on the template hammer, so while the RG was raising, I gave the base a couple handmade extensions, and yes, I know this looks really good. Along with the base, I also made a trap so I can drop anything an RG can pick up into, and to test it out, I decided my first victim would be this level 150 Castroidus, and with this trap, a lot of the smaller creatures are going to be super easy to tame, which is what we're looking for. With the beaver knocked out, I finished the foundations of my new base, which looks super good, I know. I mean, I should be an architect. Oh, and thank God I did tame the Yankee and it was super easy, but I'm just happy I actually tamed one. In the search for a main pair Pteranodon, I found this guy stuck in a rock, so naturally I had to tame it. And when I got back, I decided it was time to make that crossbow I found earlier in the challenge, so I needed to do everyone's favorite thing in Ark, which of course is metal farming. That means a lot of metal farming. But after that, I got back to base with a new Pteranodon egg, which I'll get to in a minute, but first I need to set up forges to make metal smelting go way faster, because we're going to need a ton of it. And also the forges work to incubate the egg, so that was a huge win. And this got us a really cool pink one that hopefully won't die to fire wyverns, probably. And after a bunch of healing, we finally had an imprinted Pteranodon. And for its first test, it's to be my getaway driver for stealing some much needed cementing paste. Our new Pteranodon is a great thief, by the way. Thanks to our grand robbery, I was finally able to make a fabricator, which means we've unlocked a whole new tier of items. Now, remember how I said it probably wouldn't get eaten by wyverns? My first wyvern egg went relatively great, except I missed the egg on the first try. Oh, and I may or may not have been set on fire, but who's really counting that anyway? But beyond the unhappy wyverns chasing me for a little while, I got out of there with relatively no issue at all. I'm telling you, this guy is the best getaway driver in the game. And after briefly considering going for another wyvern for some reason, I made my only smart decision of this challenge, pretty much the entire challenge by the way, and I decided it was time to fly home. And right outside my base, I found this insane drop, and in any other challenge this is amazing, but a shotgun really doesn't help me too much in a taming challenge, so that's unfortunate. And moving back to the actual taming portion of this challenge, I swear we do tame stuff in this challenge, but before I can do that, another thing I was going to need a ton of is bear traps, and on top of the bear traps, we're going to need a ton of billboards as well. But before that, this raptor donated itself to me, so I bullied it, and we became great friends. Of course, after I ran back to base to grab it some meat because I never remember to bring taming food with me for some reason. Next on my list was this Phiomia, unfortunately, because I was getting pretty sick of feeding herbivores berries, and these guys are half the vegetable problem solved, the other half being the dung beetles, which are back in the wyvern trench. But first I got stopped in my tracks because I found this giant level 150, well, Gigantopithecus, and honestly, he is an insane berry harvester. Oh yeah, and I guess he grabs a little bit of fiber as well. And this Gigantopithecus got a great privilege that not many of my tames get, frankly because I keep forgetting, a name. That's right, me and Darlene till the end of this challenge. Next on my list was a griffin, but I wanted a high level mate pair so I can use them as my main travel mount, but of course I got distracted and tamed this stego instead. Of course I hit it while it was on its way down, because frankly I'm not very good at taming sometimes. But to make up for this stupid mistake, I found a Quetzal while scouting for griffins, so I marked this for later so we can fall out of the sky with it while I try to tame it. I'm sure this will happen very soon. Now, in order to mass tame, I visited my favorite cave to get a ton of crystals for the greenhouse structures so we can get some vegetables going and I can tame them with vegetables instead of berries. It cuts the tame time in like a quarter of the time. And on my way back, I grabbed one more trike so that I could... Well, there's no notes for this, and frankly, I don't remember, so I guess I will just bear witness to this as you guys do. And moving on from that, when I got back to the base, Darlene and I found an intruder, but instead of removing it, I decided to force it to work for me because it seems more fair, or at least I will, but I somehow lost it in the 10 seconds it took me to place a bear trap down. So, for now, we just move right back onto the greenhouse. At this point, I was also breeding trikes now for some reason, even though I can't see how this is helpful right now. So yeah, maybe we'll figure that out in a bit. And I mean, trike breeding was going well, maybe, still not sure what I was breeding them for or why, but anyway, with my trikes bred up, I head to the Highlands, where you see, there's the reason for this. In fact, I'd say there's 150 reasons for me taming trikes now. The team for this cartridge was super straightforward, and I luckily had a ton of stuff to kill, but I was still excited when I tamed, as you can see here. And to cap off a successful Highlands trip, I also snagged some wild rock carrots to make the easiest Equus tame ever. Besides being insanely behind schedule, things are going a little too well right now, so I figured I would jump off my RG about 30 feet in the air. Man, the E and W key are just too close together for me. Once I collected myself and figured out the buttons I was supposed to push, I went back to griffin taming, making sure to take out all of the low-level griffins. I really couldn't find a good one, so with the help of Captain Fat Dog, I settled for a level 100, and that was my new temporary main flyer until I could find something remotely better. With my new tames all in their cryo balls, I figured it was time to place my fabricator and make a beaver saddle so we could now finally get a ton of wood. And next was fiber so we could make this literally insane crossbow, and good for me, Darlene is an insane fiber gatherer. I think Darlene earns a like on this video. I also went for some metal, but I ran into this. So, like the coward I am, I ran away, but not before getting enough metal to make the crossbow I needed. I also set up a few more forges so I can get an indie forge to get a ton of metal quickly, and after all the immense struggle and all the work we put in, we got an extra 0.1% on the blueprint. And now I know this goes without saying, but for that one guy, yes, I had to constantly make narcotics throughout this challenge, so I'm going to force you to watch this. And now it was time for me to shift my focus to the brand new creature in Ragnarok, which of course is the bison. And basically the first lesson I learned while trying to tame these things is that they're a bunch of jerks. Now you'd think I'd learn my lesson pretty fast, but I'm persistently stupid. Then I thought this one was stuck, so I thought I could get it out, but of course it was way too weak and I killed it before I could even come close to knocking it out. Close in my books anyway. So I gave up and instead I knocked out the scorpion, and oh man do I love this freaking crossbow. And just because I was super excited to use my crossbow, I tamed this packy rhino while testing it out. Next was my round 2 with the bison. And I was really hoping that this would go much better than the first time. Somehow this trap worked, but I wasn't really sure what it was tamed with, so I just gave it berries, but I quickly realized there was a good chance I needed narcotics to keep it out. And while editing this video, I definitely did not need narcotics. But in my typical fashion and flair, I didn't grab narcotics, instead I tested out how close I could get to the ice wyverns. Which, to be fair to me, is pretty close. I mean, like I probably could have stolen an egg here, but for some reason I just gave up on it. Anyway, I needed more tames, and the Deinosuchus was just asking to be tamed. I mean, look at this thing. And this thing took so long in between feeds that I tamed this Berry, Beelzebufo, Dimetrodon, Sarco, Capro, Paracer, and Diplocaulus. And then to finish it off, of course, I tamed the Deinosuchus. I think it's safe to say that my Griffin crossbow combo was pretty elite. Unfortunately, it couldn't save my Diplocaulus, so I'll have to tame a different one. Then in anger and rage, I threw out my unsaddled Karcher to inflict some pain on the swamp biome. Luckily, later in the day, I did find another Diplocaulus, and before I tamed it, it went and finally got my bison off the cliff. And this time the Diplocaulus was finally able to survive long enough so that I could tame it and force it to live in this ball for the rest of its life. Okay, I have no idea what I meant here, but in my notes I read, and this guy had a long enough neck to tame. So do with that what you will. While this thing was taming, I decided to test my parenting skills. Just kidding, we're testing the parenting skills of the wyverns today. Mine are terrible, and so are the wyverns. And at some point here, I tamed another Bronto, but I have no footage of it. But I needed Bronto eggs for 2 creatures in particular that I love taming. After that, aloe taming was going pretty rough. I shifted focus to something smaller in the Kentro because frankly, I couldn't figure out how to tame an aloe. I physically know how to tame an aloe, but I couldn't do it. With the tiny, insignificant Kentro down, I decided to keep the desert and tame a Tapijara, but it only lasted about 4 seconds before it died. So then I decided to torture myself by taming Hyedons, which only lasted about 3 seconds. So I went after the better dog with absolutely no problem at all. Then on my way back to base, I found an otter. And I think I found my new favorite way to tame them. I mean, this is hilarious and it's also super easy, so what more can you really ask for? With my new otter, we went out to the desert and tamed the not so elusive thorny dragon. Now I'd love to lie and say that this being knocked out, I tamed it with no problem and it counts towards the total counter, but no, while taming this Morellatops, I managed to lose the Lamantria and the Tapijara, but I did get to test my shotgun out. Then later in the day, after trying for a little while, I did manage to knock out a moth, and this tame waited for it, so it would not die to anything. Then while flying around where I tamed the Kentro, I got a friendly reminder that I needed to tame a Microraptor at some point. Actually, I got reminded twice. Hey, then I got some pants from the yellow drop. And in order to get back on the taming board, I danced with this Gigantoraptor's child. Yep, there's no good way to say that, but that's what happened. And now it's time to test out the new Bison, and this thing is awesome at collecting berries. But before I get too carried away, I needed some Brontos to tame my least favorite thing in Ark, but more on that later. For now, I tried to tame this stuck galley, but my crossbow was just way too strong for this simple weak galley, so it killed it again. At this point, I was getting pretty sick at taming things with berries, so it was time for a greenhouse. Or I should say finishing the greenhouse. And I was feeling a little bit extra creative, so I made this super intricate modern design. I mean, man, this bison is way too fun. But I will say, as much fun as the bison is, it's pretty hard to beat a good Karcher. Right around the base, I tamed this Patchy, and tried to tame this Diplo, but it bugged out, so I couldn't. As I left, I found this, so naturally, of course I tamed it. At this point, I'm really not being picky, I'll tame pretty much anything. And I got this Griffin, which you know what this means. My Griffins are now expendable. And now I know I said this Diplo is broken, but I might have fixed it. But what wasn't broken, at least not in the Ark sense, was this aloe. So after I hit it with the bear trap, this tame was not really a problem at all. Next on my giant shopping list was a queen bee, which took me way longer than it should have, but eventually we got it tamed out. This bee now gets to spend the rest of its life as a beehive. Bee taming isn't so bad. You know what else isn't bad? My new Griffin. Now I'll show you what the Bronto eggs are for. Yep, that's pretty much it. Well, at least for now. While over here, I grabbed a couple dung beetles, and for some reason I thought I would stay grappled to a Quetzal while using different ammo in the same crossbow, forgetting how logic works. but I got a reminder how physics work. So after that, to regain some of my pride, I tamed a Rex, Vulture, and an Oviraptor. While waiting for them to wake up, I found this insane blueprint, but it was just too expensive for me to have time to make, so we're just going to stick with the crossbow for the rest of this challenge probably. Unless Ark wants to give me an insane long neck. No? Okay. And when I came to the realization that I wouldn't be able to make this long neck, I took out my anger on this Megalodon, Carbonemus, Ichthyosaurus, Ichthyornis, and this Belagornis. I tried my luck with another Quetzal, and this time, with a Griffin, I got it knocked out. Now, at this point, I'm still pretty behind, like way behind, so I really need to pick up the pace. So what better way to do that than taming a bear? There's probably a lot of better ways, but this was my way. And then I finally got to tame the new Veilwyn, which, well, it was new at the time, but it's an insane creature, way too easy to tame, you just walk up and claim it. Yeah, that's how long ago I'd made this video, but whatever, don't judge me. And with our new buddy, we set out to tame a mammoth and a rhino that the Veilwyn insisted on helping with, but I still got it out even with the Veilwyn trying to kill it. One thing I wanted to point out is that I've been using the Karcher a bunch, but I haven't really showed it, so here's some awesome Karcher gameplay. Now there's this thing I like to do when I'm recording these videos for some reason, which is halfway through I stop playing for about a week or two, and then when I come back I completely forget everything I've done. So yeah, I tamed another deer. And yes, I did kill the rhino I knocked out earlier. And now you can meet Velma. I also stole another egg, well, because I wanted to, and simply because I can. I feel I'll also have to mention that I've been killing a lot of Serratos when I find them, so when I have hemoglobin cocktails later, that's why. And after all of that, I returned back to my two seabirds to pick them up. Once I finally got back to base, I filled my greenhouse with fertilizer, so I don't have to worry about that again. You can just use your imagination for that one. I also needed some bug spray at this point for a manta and a few other things that are around the volcano biome, and they mostly come in bug form. But for now, this theory was a great find, and it really didn't give me much trouble, especially getting stuck in the trap like this. While waiting for this guy to tame, I found this level 150 Pumbaa and decided to be my friend. Why? Because it's the circle of life. Now, while taming that, a Terran bird attacked me, so it'll be coming home with me as well, whether it wants to or not. Next was to fly over to the volcano, and we did some bug farming. Bugs, we go to giant rock monsters. I'm not going to tame this one right now, but I marked their location so we can come back and tame them later. Next mission was to start on some ocean creatures, or at least I thought it was, but you can just ignore the timer for now. Yeah, so the only problem with ocean taming is I literally have no idea where anything is, and I also didn't bring scuba, so I'm not sure what my plan was. But hey, that's a pretty nice sunset. Well, that was short-lived as we went under 8 hours left. I still wanted an Inji forge for the rest of the challenge, so we needed to get on that pretty much 10 hours ago. Then when I went to fill the forge, I ran into some new neighbors that my RG and Anki couldn't take out, so I flew a little farther so I couldn't get back and be eaten. On the way back, one of the neighbors was mad at me, so we had a little chat. But once I got back, I made an AA workbench simply just to hold my stuff. I'm not going to use it for anything else, but it's a good storage spot for now. Then I shifted my focus to making cactus broth so I can be even more stealthy. Yes, it really did take that long for me to make cactus broth. Next, I wanted to take out some of the more difficult teams like the rock elemental and Carcano specifically, so I was going to need a cannon and a ton of cannonballs because, I mean, let's be honest, I'm going to miss. The evidence is in this video, what you've seen so far. While trapping it, the cactus broth did not work, or more than likely, I don't know how to use it properly, so I had to regroup. The second time, it went much better, besides all the golem's annoying dancing breaks. Next up is this giant overgrown crab. I basically killed like 3 of these and got super lucky on the 4th one because I'm pretty sure it was the last one in the area. But yeah, the tame was pretty straightforward as soon as I got it, and I really needed to get some water tames, so with scuba gear it was a really great time to make a dent in the water creatures. Right off the bat we managed to get a Bazzy with no problems, except I forgot it was a passive tame and tried to knock it out. And now I know I tamed this, but the recording was cut in classic hoser fashion. Next I killed this Tuso because I didn't have black pearls, and this gives me some, or at least I didn't think I had black pearls. The ocean was just a taming spree, so here's a break from my voice for a little bit. Just kidding. I can't focus on one thing that long. So I went up to the redwoods and battled this area Archaeopteryx. I'm leaving that in because it shows my true brain power. And then right after this happened. Yeah, so then I lost my Archaeopteryx, unfortunately for this guy. And now it's time to go back under the water.
I am under the water.
Later I was taming this Moza, except I ran out of tranks and scuba, so that would have to wait. While at my base I tried to pick up a Gallimimus with a Quetz. I'm just gonna leave this here, so feel free to roast me in the comments. While you do that, I tamed a cat to make myself feel better, and if you notice the timer, you can see where this video is gonna end up. And to top it all off, I got arced by a cat dossier. Not actually, but well, kinda. At the base I tried to tame a Gallimimus again, but I just couldn't put together that my crossbow does too much damage. Oh wait, no, I learned. Next up was this monkey, so after he threw poop at me, he decided to be my friend. If I had a nickel for every time that happened.
I'd have 2 nickels!
Now I was really set for the ocean, so I set out to find some black pearls for Tiso again, because again, I forgot I had black pearls, and it was surprisingly easy. Then I went for my best friend and favorite tame on the map. Definitely the Pyromane. I'm joking, I absolutely hate this thing, and I kinda wish it wasn't in the game. But anyway, we'll say it is kinda fun to use. This Megalania managed to get me killed as I knocked it out, and for some reason I was set on throwing boomerangs at a seagull. I must have forgot I have that one already. Back to the ocean was a Mosasaur and a Ceratosaurus is what I have written in my notes, so I'm guessing I tamed a Mosasaurus and then a Ceratosaurus. Oh, look at that, I was right. But what I forgot is that I needed beer for a Chalicotherium, so hopefully there's enough time for that. I also need sweet veggie cakes for a snail. No way I have enough time for beer. I also knew there was light pets on this map, but there's no way to tame them, which I eventually did figure out. But this area is super cool, so I tamed this Dimetrodon on my way out and this Karuku. And learned you can't tame Onyx on this map, but I can tame this snail. Okay, now it's just time to rattle off some tames. Now that we're nearing the end, I'd love to say that this Megalosaurus I tamed a creature a minute and blew this challenge out of the water, but y'all know that didn't happen. I spent the last 30 minutes pretty much flying around trying to get anything to spawn. Then, just for a little more embarrassment, I was being bullied by a dreadmare.
Why you bully me?
Let's just ignore that timer. Don't worry, I'll fix it in a minute. The last few teams of this challenge were Tapejara, Iguanodon, and Megatherium. So, I obviously failed this challenge. I didn't tame any of these creatures, and debatably I also didn't tame an ice wyvern, so we'll leave that on there too. So I thought as a punishment to the end of not finishing this challenge, I'll have to tame a Troodon. So to end this video, here's a compilation of me trying to tame a Troodon. Spoiler alert, I gave up after 3 hours. Yes, actually, please help. Also, please consider subscribing so I can buy a new mouse, as mine had a date with the floor. Thank you for watching as always, and have a great day.